Today marks a milestone. We're getting heat and air installed in the shop. And of course we're gonna do it ourselves. We're not gonna pay somebody to do that. So today what we're gonna accomplish is we're gonna install a mini split that in my opinion, makes it one of the most attractive on the market because of 3 reasons. First, it's something you can do yourself, so you don't have to pay anybody to come out and install or do anything. Number 2, it's one of the cheapest systems I could find. 1200 BTU heat and cool mini split for right around 500 bucks. And number 3, when I say that you don't need anybody to help you, this is just a regular 110 plug like what's in your house. If you want something bigger, you can obviously go bigger, but you're gonna need 220, which may require you to do some work in your breaker box, which isn't terrible, it's very possible. But if you're already wiring up 220, you probably already know what you're doing anyway, and this video probably doesn't even apply to you. But I wanna show you guys how, yes, you can, whether it's a shop in my case here, whether it's your house, you can install one of these Comfortotal systems really, really easy. We're gonna walk through it together. So let me show you everything I got over here. Excuse the mess on my bench here. You can see I've got everything that we need, excluding the outdoor unit. It's actually already outdoors, but we've got the indoor portion. We've got all the different wires and ducts and everything like that. Some electrical, all the screws and mounts and fun stuff. And we're gonna walk through this step by step together to show you guys exactly how to install this thing and get the best results possible. Really, it's pretty easy. You're only gonna need a few hand tools that a few folks have probably already got anyway. You're gonna need about a 3-inch hole saw. I've got a 3.5 inch that I think is gonna work fine. And then one thing that scares folks off about these particular units is that the Mr. Cool ones, you don't have to pull a vacuum on or anything. It truly is a plug and play system. These, you've got to pull a vacuum on, but it's really, really super easy. I bought a $7 adapter and I'm going to rent a vacuum pump and some gauges from AutoZone, and I think that's gonna work. So really the only thing that I'm into this video for, out expenditure wise personally, is the unit that I paid about 500 bucks for. Borrowed a hole saw from my dad, but you might need a hole saw that's about 3 inches. And then you can go rent a vacuum pump and some gauges. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm not even gonna worry about any work in my breaker because this thing only runs about 900 watts or so. So yeah, it runs off 110. So you can plug this into the wall, any standard plug, and it's gonna work for you. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to take a look on the back side of this unit, because what it has on it is a mounting bracket that comes pre-attached. All right, looks like removing the mount is pretty easy. There's a screw right here, number 2 Phillips. I'm gonna take that screw out. And with the screw removed, the mount should pretty well just kind of pop out of here. You can see it does. It pretty much just hangs on there like that and clips in this bottom panel. Yeah, that works really well. So this is the bracket that we need to mount. Make note inside of your unit here about how far you can swing left and right, because what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take these out of here. We're gonna have to bend these hoses out just like so. That way we can run these outside, as well as attach our drain as well to run out here. So let's go ahead and let's make note on our bracket here about where we need to go to install said hole for this. It looks like it's going to be literally, what, 2 inches over, and dead center is 2.5 about. So it needs to be 2 over and 2.5 up. I can always refer back to this video if I need to remember that. But we're gonna take this, we're gonna take our mounting screws and mount it to the wall. You're gonna see here, the mounting screws, they actually come with these little drywall anchors. So You don't have to worry about hitting a stud, but you do want to make sure that this part here isn't going to hit a stud in your wall. Most houses, I believe, are framed with studs 16 inches apart on center. So if you can get a stud finder, you can get an idea of where those are. Let's go ahead and take our bracket and our mount and find a spot in the shop to hang this. Okay, so I found my place that I want to mount it. I wouldn't mount it right by a window or a door or anything. So I'm mounting it kind of in the back side of my shop. The idea is here, I want it to blow across over to my workbench where I spend probably the majority of the time in my shop. So let's climb up here. I've got my bracket and I've got a level too. You don't have to have a level, but this is going to make the job a little bit easier because you don't want to be more than 5 degrees off according to the book. Just use your cell phone if you don't have one of these. But first things first, let's take a singular screw. First things first, let's take a singular screw and let's mount just one of these and see if we can get it level. And you want it to be about, 7.5 foot plus or so up. And you're going to see I'm being mindful of where that stud is back there. So see, now I've got a little wiggle room. Put my level on top. That's about perfect right there. So now I'll go ahead and put in the rest of my screws. Now the mount's nice and level up there, we need to consider drilling our hole with our hole saw. Okay, you can see I've got my hole saw with a few extensions on here, just because I've got a lot of wall to go through here. And then I've got me a ruler and a marker to mark the center of my hole here. So let's climb up here. And what did I say? From the bottom of this, I said it was about 2 inches over and 2.5 inches up. So I can use my Sharpie here to mark this. On the bottom corner here, two over, make my mark. And about right there is where I want the center of my hole. There's one side. These can be hot too, be careful trying to get this out. And then I've got enough extension here that I should be able to go all the way through the wall without much issue. No stud, no electrical there, just be mindful of that. And then we'll go just ever so slightly down, that way things can drain out in a downward fashion. Hey, we're making good progress. So we're drilled all the way through with the exception of the siding, which I can poke a little hole in that and we'll be on the outside in no time. I'm working against, I'm about to be working in the moonlight here, but on the outside it's fairly easy. All I got to do is climb up here and you can see where my pilot hole came through over here. It came out with the tip of this right here. So now I'm just going to set that in there and drill directly in. Better not drop Dad's hole saw down in the wall there. All right, can you see how I've cut my hole through my siding here? Now we're ready to go back inside and hang the mini split. Before I get too far carried away, I've got the unit up on its side, the indoor unit. And before I even plug it up to go outside, I gotta peel some of this plastic that they've put on there, protective plastic back. And I think that we need to wire the, whip here. I don't know that it matters which side. It looks like the cables are virtually identical on both sides, terminated the same and everything. I think we need to take this panel off, and there's a schematic here that shows you exactly where the wires go. But if you get confused, I'll show you exactly what to do. Got a number 2 Phillips head here. I'm gonna remove this screw right here. And I'm gonna pull the unit up. There we go. So you can see we've got our wiring diagram as well as several terminals right here that we can connect to. See these bottom screws right here? We need to loosen these up just a little bit so we can snug our new wires in there, just like the top. The wiring was really easy. I just followed the gray 110 wire, ran my black whip up through there, and then you're gonna see I came out right here. I unscrewed this little bit holding down the 110 cord right there, and I ran all the wires under it, screwed this down, and then took each wire and ran it to the appropriate place on the harness. You can see it was brown, blue, yellow, green, gray, which was actually purple on mine. There's gray a little down here, and then black. And I went under the screw and under, there's a little square metal bit there. You want to get that prong under there, seated securely, and then screw it down. And then we're just going to put our plate back on. Now we're ready to mount this thing. This is also how you get to the filters, by the way, you can see right here. But I'm going to make sure these are clipped in place really good. Close my unit up. I'm going to keep the plastic on until we're done here. Try to keep from scratching it up and whatnot. I'm going to flip it on its back here, and you're going to see we need to route everything out over here. So I need to bend these copper tubes out this way. Make sure not to kink them up here. You're just going to turn them a 90 basically. And then it looks like we may need to put our drain tube on as well. So let's find which one that is. Looks like it's just this right here. We need to attach it. Doesn't matter which end. Just slide it right over the cap. Get it on there nice and far so it doesn't try to leak on you or anything. And now you can see we've got everything routed and appropriated over here where we can put it all through the hole in the wall and mount this thing. So I'm going to take my black electrical whip. This needs to stay inside. I'm going to take my 2 copper refrigerant lines and my drain line, and I'm going to stick that up through the wall outside. You guys are going to see on this side of the shop I've got a bit of a mess, but here is the outdoor unit. You can see it's not level. I need to level this up, and I'll probably do it after I've got it all said and done. The idea is you don't want this thing falling over or anything like that, but make sure you've got a nice level pad for it to sit on. I'm not going to bore you guys with doing that. What we need to do is we need to start connecting some stuff from out here. First, we're going to start with our electrical whip that we need to run in here. And then we've got our copper refrigerant lines and this drain line. I personally don't like the fact that it's just hanging down like this. So I'll probably get something to extend it out and run it further away from my shop, because you can see it looks like an animal or something's digging in here, but you don't want that just constantly running right beside your shop. It's not recommended for a house either. You want to get that drain line to come away from your house a little bit. But nonetheless, that's a problem for another day. We need to come on this side of the panel here. And where does the electrical go in? Let's take a quick break so I can find that. So I've actually removed 2 covers, which we were going to have to do anyway. The bottom port's where our refrigeration comes in and where we're going to have to vacuum this thing out. The top is where our electrical is going to go in. Look inside of here. We've got ourselves a nice little diagram. So you can see the indoor unit and the outdoor unit wiring diagram. So I'm going to look at this, make sense of it, and looks like it's literally just like this. Well, electrical for the outside is just as easy as the inside. So you see the diagram points up here. Just hold this in an up configuration. And you can see here it wires up literally the same as the indoor unit. So you can see here I've taken this little holder off, put my wires under it, and I've done brown, blue, yellow, green. The gray, as they call it, is purple here, and black. So literally just wired up like that. And then I'm going to put this cap back on it, this cover, and you can see it's got a cutout for the wire there. And our electrical is done, guys. Now we can move on to refrigerant. All right, for my next task, what I need to do is I need to take these lines coming down from the inside, and I'm just going to bend them downwards without kinking them, as you can see right here. And by kink, you're gonna see how this is still open for refrigerant to flow. You don't want to bend it completely in half. I want to bend these down. This one too. That way it goes downwards towards the unit. Just like that. And for now, guys, honestly, I'm at a stopping point. I actually went ahead and bought some thread locker. It's kind of like blue Loctite, but my understanding is it's for refrigerant. It's not gonna come till tomorrow. I got it on Amazon, along with my adapter to pull a vacuum on this. I did go ahead and rent the vacuum pump and as well as some gauges. But for now, on day 2 of this process, I'm at a stopping point until my adapter and my blue thread locker comes in. So all in all, I'm not even in this an hour yet. And tomorrow, I bet I don't have much more than an hour left just hooking up those refrigerant lines, pulling a vacuum, and then turning it on basically. So from what I can tell, even with limited experience, if you got the tools set out and everything, this is a 2-hour job. Even getting tools out, it's a 2-hour job. This is easy, guys, so far. Maybe famous last words. I may turn it on tomorrow, it may not work. But for now, we're at a stopping point on day 2 because I'm waiting on those parts to come. We'll reconvene again tomorrow. Don't mind my redneck ingenuity over here. I'm making a little bit of a mulch bed, working on it anyway. But I guess my video audio, something failed whenever I was actually pulling the vacuum on this. So I didn't, unfortunately, get that for you guys. But I've got the unit installed, and I want to explain to you exactly how I did it. Basically, I connected the refrigerant lines out here. It's very straightforward, and they will hiss whenever you do that. But you can see right there, and then the other side has one. You just connect those two. You run your drain line out, and then you connect your lines down here as well. So you can see I've got my lines connected. And then what I did was I pulled vacuum off right here. So you take your vacuum pump, you put it on here. Sorry, you take your hose they go to your gauges, your middle one. You come off here, go to your gauge, and then from your gauge, the middle one goes down to your vacuum pump. You run a vacuum on it till it's -10 for, I think it's like 30 minutes or so. And then once you do that and you've purged all the air out of the lines, you unscrew these caps right here, just like this. They've got an Allen key in them. And you just turn that Allen key to the left on top and bottom as far as you can, and that releases the refrigerant. But make sure, before you do that, make sure you pull that vacuum because you don't want air in the lines. It's bad for your compressor, so on and so forth. So you can see I've got my lines here. Nothing's clean yet. I'm gonna get something to clean this up. I just kind of want to show you what it looks like, the install process here. It comes with some tape to tape these lines up, make it look a little more clean. I'm gonna extend this spout out down here so it'll run off back behind my place here. But I need to get that stuff to do that. And you can see, it's been a while since I've actually shot this. It's all covered in filth, so this has been in for a month or two, and it's working just fine. Oh, and I set it up on some pavers here. Nothing's clean. It's a mess what I've done here, but the thing is working. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape up those lines here. I'll make it clean up, and I'll do an update video in the future for you guys too, so you can see what it looks like. But that is the install. This thing works flawless, and I really like it. If it's something that you feel like you can do yourself, you absolutely can on this. Now, I'm not going to give legal advice. I don't know the legality of handling the refrigerant in these units. Depending on where you live, you may need to hire an HVAC company to come in and pull a vacuum on this. But if that's not the case and it's legal for you to do so, then you can pull a vacuum on this thing, release the refrigerant in the lines, and then it's ready to go. Guys, thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I say, I promise I will clean this up. We'll do a video in the future. Let me know, you guys, in the comments. You want a 3-month update, 6-month update? You want them all? I can do whatever you guys want. But so far, it's working great. And I'll tell you, this summer has been a hot one, so this has been a much needed upgrade for the shop, and I can't wait for winter too to keep it warm.